Nigeria has almost 200 million people, and that's the map that you're looking at. It's a map of Nigeria. It is Africa's most populous country and one of the wealthiest countries in the world, which also means, by implication, that it's Africa's wealthiest because it has Africa's largest economy. Nigeria has 36 states, one of which is Edo State. Why is that important? It is important because today I have guests who come from Edo State. It is a state that actually has about 5 million inhabitants. It has 5 main ethnic groups: Owan, Bini, Esaka, Esan, Afemai. And people from one of those ethnic groups, that is Owan, will be my guests today. And by the way, my name, Ohiro Oni-Eseleh, is one that actually comes also from the Owan ethnic group, because that is where I'm from. In Nigeria, you're from where your father is from. My parents are from Owan, and that's where I'm from. And as responsibilities, commitments, and tasks go, there aren't many things that warm my heart. Now are there many people that impress me more than those who show a sense of commitment and sense of responsibility to their roots and never forget where they come from. Today, I have the pleasure of meeting and interviewing just a few of those people, and they are my guests today. And it is my pleasure to welcome you to this discussion. Dr. Eseleh, you are the president of Owan Association USA, and all of you here are my guests today, and you're from that association. Dr. Eseleh, welcome.
Thank you so much.
I know you're in Atlanta, Georgia. Can you tell us what the weather is like there today?
Well, the weather is pretty good, raining. It's been just drizzling all day long, and its temperature right now is in the 60s. So it's not too bad.
Oh, that is great. You know, sometimes I wish I could get your weather, you know, and, you know, I have friends who tell me sometimes that maybe I should move over to Georgia because I live in New York, where we just had snow yesterday morning. And I tell them, perhaps I'll consider moving to Georgia when you guys learn how to vote. Until then, I am staying put in New York. So welcome. And so Dr. Eseleh, you are in New Jersey.
Yes.
I'd like to welcome you too.
Thank you, Dr. Ohiro.
Right, and you're really not a stranger here to what we do here. But I just also really like to welcome you, because today we're not going to be discussing medicine or anything like that. We are going to be discussing life and culture and society. So I welcome you to that discussion as well, because it is the kind of discussions that we like to have when we hang out. I have Mabel Atane, who is actually based in Florida. I just asked about the weather in Georgia, and also talking about people who know how to vote and those who don't know how to vote. Tell us about Florida. What is it like today?
Well, thank you, Professor Ohiro. The weather is beautiful outside. I think we are about 80 degrees right now.
Oh my God.
Wow. As you may hear from the news, everybody's at the beach, and I'm praying for them, because this is not the right time to do that. But when, Florida is a sunshine state, so the out is beautiful outside right
now. Wow. Welcome. Let's not talk about how you guys vote in Florida, should we? No, let's move on. So we also have Ashetu Iwede, who is based in Atlanta, Georgia as well. So I'm not going to ask you about the weather. I'm just going to ask you, I know you're a healthcare professional.
Yes.
So first of all, I'd like to thank you for doing the work that you are doing right now in this era that we are having to contend with the coronavirus. I'd just like to ask you how that is going with you personally.
Well, personally, I'm lucky because thank you for the question and thank you for hosting us. Today, things are not easy. People have lost their jobs and so forth. But I'm particularly lucky because I work for a specific organization, and so I'm still employed. But we are so equipped, we are prepared, and so when we go in, we are prepared and given everything that we need to protect ourselves and also protect the patients that we take care of. So I'm lucky in that sense, but there are a lot of people who are not. I know who is in ICU at the moment, and thank God I don't know anyone that I've not lost anybody that I know of. I've just been hearing so-and-so lost their life and so-and-so lost their life, but I don't know anyone that has lost their life. So thank
Right.
God.
I know I said you're a healthcare professional, which could mean a lot of things, but you've been a nurse for decades.
For decades
Yes.
from Nigeria. So
I know it's been a long time, hasn't it? Right. So we have Mr. Michael Emuzeze from Dallas, Texas. So tell me how it's going in Dallas. Do you all also want to just hit the streets and just...
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate this privilege, and thank God for everything in Dallas. We're doing fine so far. We have a few cases of coronavirus. Less than, as of on Friday, it was about 1,900, whereby we lost about 80-something people died. So by the grace of God, we're still alive, and the weather is so nice. You know, everything in Texas is big, but so far on the coronavirus cases, it's very small. And yeah, with the heartbeat of America, we can't complain. God is good.
You know, it's really funny when somebody in Texas says that they're the heartbeat of America. I'm not sure what that means, because when in fact, when I drive by your stadium, the Dallas Cowboys Stadium,
Thank you.
I always remember that little hole they have, on the roof, that even though they're losing games constantly, the Dallas Cowboys, they still say that that's the hole through which God sees them.
Well, unfortunately, I'm not a fan of Dallas Cowboy. I love football, but I don't play football. I'm a pro wrestler. So when it comes to fight, then let me know, but not on the football side.
I'm very happy to hear that from someone in Dallas. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So, Mr.
Maybe my Honorable Mustafa may be able to enlighten more about that, because he himself lives in Dallas. He's very close to that Dallas Cowboy, so he can let you know how that goes.
Right. Do you believe that the Cowboys are America's team, Mr. Mustafa Arasa?
Definitely.
You're also in Dallas.
Yes, I'm in Dallas. Yeah, I've been in Dallas I've been in Texas. When I finished college, I moved to Dallas. Yes, Dallas Cowboy is the U.S. Football
American team.
American team. Thank you, American team. So if you talk about Cowboys, you are talking about the American heartbeat per se. So there's nowhere in the country that you mention Cowboy where you do not have a fan. So be careful how you talk when you are, in the midst of people. Maybe 3 out of 5 would be Cowboy fans.
Right.
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah, I almost just asked you the last time they won the Super Bowl, but I'll spare you of that embarrassment.
No.
I think that was during the time of black and white era.
I wasn't going to be so
Black
cruel.
and white TV.
Okay.
So yeah, so Mr. Eseleh is based in Maryland. So how are you today, Mr. Eseleh?
I can't complain. Thank you very much for hosting us. COVID-19, we pray, we keep on praying that the grace of God will continue to abide with us all the days of our lives. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. What I want to do today is to have us just have a conversation as a round table instead of the traditional interview type. That is important because I want us to really project the community feeling, the community feature, because it's about community engagement. And one of the reasons we are here talking is because of your interest in community development. And specifically to, let's just talk specifically about Owan. I know that Owan used to be part of what was Bendel State. And in 1991, Bendel State was split into Edo and Delta states. And so Owan became part of Edo State. So it's to the north of Edo State.
Yes.
What I don't think a lot of people realize is that there is something about the history of Owan that is special. In fact, more than one thing. And I'm wondering if any of you can share with me. Maybe I should start with Dr. Sige. Can you tell us a little about the history of Owan?
Thank you, Dr. Ohiro. My initial response would be, what is Owan? How did we come about that name, Owan? History has it that the name Owan came out from River Owan out there in our community. And the beginning of this river arose from the grave of an entrepreneur lady from Uhomora who got married at Otuo. Unfortunately, she didn't have any issue. When she died, there was no place to bury her. But she had that spirit that she was going back to her hometown, Uhomora. Right from the grave point there, a stream emerged. It was a very tiny stream. It started finding its way down. As it goes on, it became bigger. By the time that stream got down to Uhomora, it became the largest portion of that river. Then it flew past and went down to flow into Ose River down to the Atlantic Ocean. That is the historical how Owan came about. And secondly, Owan is made up of a group of people. And the beginning was Oba Eware from Benin, migrated from Benin towards this present Owan and landed in Uoka before he went back again to be crowned. Then he was a prince. Based on that, any coronation of Oba of Benin that is being done is never complete until they go to Uoka to pick up the white chalk to complete that ceremony. In recent time now, they've taken the chalk, mass big one, down to Oba's palace and buried it down on the ground there, so that there is no need for the Oba of Benin to make a trip to the present location Uoka. So that is that. And who are these people called Owan? Owan is made up of a large tribe, villages, towns. Owan is now divided into two local government areas, Owan East and Owan West. I want to just highlight the key towns that can come into my head, starting from Owan West. From Ozala, that is part of Owan. As you move down, you get down to Uhomora. Then if you move turn right, you hit Eme Ora. Then moving left, you get down to Sabongida Ora. Then going left, you go down to the Uleha Uzeba and the key towns like Okoje and Okoje and others. Then if you still move back again, you have a portion of Onwa that was split before, now back like Sobe, Agbalikaka, and Onwa town itself. That is the merge of Onwa West. Now moving from Sabongidaora, okay, still again a little bit, you have other major towns like Oke Road, Oke New. Then when you move towards the north, you get down to the main town, Ojavun, you get down to Ojavun.
Okpokumi.
Go from Ojavun to Okpokumi. From Okpokumi to Ogute. Then from Ogute to Okpa, then Wahumi, then to Afuze, that is the current headquarters of Onwa East. From Afuze is large. Move further to Obionu, to Uwaka, to Iki, to Oke, Owan-Eseleh, to Ikao. Then move down to Otwa. A lot, that segment there. Then now moving right, you get down to Hiebe, get down to Warake, get down to Yaro.
Right. I have a few questions about what you have just said.
There's something coming up. I missed some Era. Again, from Era, from Afuze, you can pass through Era to Ekpama. Then
Right.
have Olelo and Uboega.
Right. I have a few questions that are based on what I have just heard. And this question will go to you, Ms. Iwede.
Okay.
Dr. Asike has just told us that the name Owan actually came from a woman.
Yes.
And my question to you, and also Ms. Atana, you can chime in, but Ms. Iwede first. My question to you is that how much acknowledgement do you think that the present day people of Owan pay to that part of the history of the place? I am asking that question because I would like to think that the way that we treat women will be an indication of how well we value our history. So my question then is, do you think that we acknowledge that part of the history to the point where we give women the respect that they deserve in modern day Owan?
Surprisingly, Dr. Ohiro, it's not, I would say no, or I would say it's not true that we practice our history to the core. We really don't. We have assumed more Yoruba history, more of the Benin history than the Onwa history itself. And surprisingly also, we have deviated away from home so much so that our home is lacking a lot of things. They're lacking a lot of support from we that came from Onwa. Onwa as a whole have so much to give because we have a lot of people that are well educated, rich, have money, but unfortunately, we don't go home and we don't acknowledge our history because somehow those days it seemed like people will die when they go home or when they go and build houses, not knowing the reason why, and so most people are deprived or afraid to go home. But I just hope that Owan Association, through Owan Association, that we'll be able to remember and bring back our people to our homeland. That is lacking. We're lacking that home history. If you ask there's somebody who were to join us, but because she was not raised at home, she doesn't speak our dialect, she was not able to join this meeting, which is, if it's a Yoruba person or Igbo person, they will know how to speak their dialect or their tribe, or they will be so used to their history. Only Onwa, we are so deprived of our history. And unfortunately, it is so, you know.
All right. So, Mr. Turner, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I wholeheartedly supported what Ashetu just said. I think the most important thing in our place is Onwa people don't know their history anymore. Mostly the kids growing up, I don't even know they know the meaning of Onwa, the origination of Onwa. For example, every time I talk to my mom, or when I went home in December, they were all surprised that I'm still speaking the language fluently. Mm-hmm. Let me give you an example. My brother, they live in Lagos. When I go home, I more or less beat him up because the children don't understand our language. So if they don't understand your dialect, they don't have any history of your background. This is what I always said to them. So I wholeheartedly believe that through this medium, Owan Association will be able to highlight the importance of our history, our originality, so that people will start again to be responsible for what Owan stands for. Like you said, yes, Owan, like Dr. Ascha said, Owan started from a woman. And today, the same thing that they were accorded to that woman that she has to flew or by herself to Wambora from Oto is the same thing that is still happening to women in our local government. Because nobody pay attention to women, they just think your women place is to have a baby and cook for the family. Women has a lot of place to bear. For example, in America, anywhere, look at Angela Merkel. Any woman that control any country, I think that country is better, do for the better. So if someone will pay attention to their women, I think that country, that local government will be turned around. So I hope our new association will be able to do that.
All right. Dr. Eseleh, I think they have just put something on your table as the president of the association, a task for you to work on. Yes, but while that is the case, and I know that you have noted that, I do have a question for you. The question also comes from this discussion that we have already had so far. And my understanding is that Owan was one local government area, that is one county, for a long time, and then it was split to Owan West and Owan East. Has that changed the nature of intergroup relations in the area? Or do people still see themselves as one and interacting as brothers and sisters? You know, how has it changed the nature of intergroup relations, if any? Because we understand that politics very often also drives the social relationships even in the Nigerian culture.
Unfortunately, thank you, Professor Hiro. I just want to say thank you to you and to Dr. Asisha for bringing all of us together to do this. We are really indebted to both of you because this is so important. So I want to thank you so much. Now, just to answer your question, personally, I see Onwa as one Onwa. I do not know how the politicians see this at home, but the name Owan Association simply puts us all together as one Owan. There is nothing like Owan East and Owan West. We are Owan people, period. And I think that is how we should see ourselves. We are brothers and sisters who truly care about each other. And if you really look at it, Owan people are some of the most humble people in Nigeria today. We have respect for each other. We are cool-headed. There is less crime in Owan committed by Owan people. If you have to really compare, I'll say conduct with other folks in Nigeria. You know, I always tell people if they want to live anywhere in Nigeria, they need to go to Owan. they will be well taken care of. They will be protected. They will be treated like kings and queens. We have respect for people. And that is something that has really propelled us to be on top of our games in Edo State and in Nigeria. We may not have people who are in those high political positions in Nigeria, but when it comes to respect for human rights, it's right there in Owan. And I think we need to really hold ourselves together as one Owan, not Owan East and Owan West. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. And, you said something that actually made me smile a little. You talked about the place of Owan in Edo State, which I have been told is quite significant. But I'm not sure in what sense it is significant, because from what I know about Owan people, it just seems to me that Owan people just like to, perhaps because of the humility that you spoke about, Owan people just like to serve. So Owan people are like great civil servants. But it doesn't seem that they do many other things like driving the country, because Mr. Wade was talking about how educated Owan people are, which is very true. So I am wondering if, and I am going to ask Mr. Mustafa Arasa to answer this question. If you put all of this together, what would you like to see young Owan people grow up to become, so that the place of Owan in the broader Nigeria can be enhanced?
Well, thank you, Dr. Eseleh. We really, I join my other fellow brothers and sisters to thank you immensely for putting this together. And those who do not know anything about Owan, who do not take our heritage seriously, at least with this, you are putting us out there, at least you are publicizing us. So with that, we are very, very appreciative. To your question, how, we can probably encourage the younger ones to see how they can broaden their horizon to be national players and all that. Well, that is very, very important. And that is where Owan Association comes in too. It's one of our goals to empower our youths. Most of them are in the villages, or maybe they have moved on to bigger cities to, for a better future for themselves. But negating the fact that our culture is very, very important. So with this, we still come back to Owan Association too. Recently, we just, donated a lot of chairs to some schools, because a kid who will go to school and don't have a place to sit, how will they assimilate what teachers are teaching them? So education is one important thing we have to encourage them to it is difficult. Some parents may not be able to afford a kid to go to secondary school, not to talk of university. So our association is out here. We are making strides. We cannot do everything at once, but we will use our own platform to encourage these kids. That village level is not the end of it. We have to aspire to go further, and we are here to encourage them in that aspect.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Cesabo. I'm coming back to you so soon, because I was told growing up that uneasy lies the head that wears the crown.
There's the crown.
So I have this question for you. I have heard about some of the things that the Owan Association is doing, but what I haven't heard, which I would like you to tell me, is how and why did the association come into existence, and what is the mission of the association?
Okay, thank you so much, Professor Ohiro. Well, Owan Association was formed in 2014. So we're very young association, and we're only 5 years old. However, prior to that, there was a gentleman, an optometrist. I will mention his name because he was such an awesome guy who actually collaborated with me about starting something that is Onwa focused. At that time, we were both part of a different association, which was dominated by EdSecond people. And in fact, I'll mention his name, Dr.
Oyahire.
Dr. Yahire. He was an optometrist, a renowned optometrist here in Atlanta. Now, it was just two of us that were members of that association, and we were just minorities. The association was dominated by EdSecond people, so we had no voice. Whenever there was something to be voted on, we could not actually, there was no way we could compete with the EdSecond guys. So Dr. Yahiri and I talked about it. We felt there was a need to start of something that is Onwa focused, that is just entirely for Onwa people. He started to gather some information. He traveled home, brought some information back, and when I went home, brought something back. But unfortunately, a few years after that, he fell sick and he died. And after that happened, that was when I felt that was the motivation behind me trying to really make sure his dreams came true. When I now started to talk to people, I started to contact members that we have today that actually also thought it was so important for Onwa people to come together because we were so spread around, joining other associations, other organizations, where we really couldn't get anything back to Onwa. Some of our people are members of Edo Union, Egbe Omo Odudua, ESACO Association, but nothing specific to Onwa. So now let me tell you, all our distinguished men and women of Onwa Association today, they're the reason why we have Onwa Association. They share the same goals, they share the same aspirations, and they share the same needs for Onwa people. Now, we are young, but we've done what very many associations that I know of that have been around for 30 years haven't done. And we plan to continue to do more. Honorable Mustafa just mentioned earlier that we donated furniture to schools. And this was to a lot of schools. As a matter of fact, I tried not to want to put some money, attach some money to what we did. It was good. We actually budgeted $12,000, but we actually have spent up to $14,000 to get those projects done. And this is to benefit students in Onwa. And we want to continue to help these kids, with their education. And we will follow this up with some other school supplies because our goal, mainly the foremost goal that we have is to educate our children to make sure they have the first-class education that will help to propel Onwa to the next level when we're all gone.
Thank you very much. I'm looking at the site of the association, which I visited before this discussion, and I think I must tell you that I'm very impressed with all of the work that you're doing. But I'm going to do something now that I'm sure you were not expecting. So I am going to challenge two people here who I have been told are great historians, Mr. Michael Muzeze and Mr. Ozelwa. And the rest of you can just dance. And so they are going to tell us the meaning. This is an Owan sound, right?
Yes.
So let's dance.
Yeah.
Ameloko kira mere o. Itobodo imeka isi mede. Ameloko kira mere yowa o. Itobodo imeka isi mede. Wera me o, asongare lega fuwe o. Uye wanyana o, yeba mo. Ameloko kira mere o. Itobodo imeka isi mede. Lega fuwe yowa o. Uye wanyana o, olomo akwa o. Baka kire baby me mama me. Olo itare ni mare wo ba gbon. Basa sun mere ba gbeje me yo wa o. Basa sun mere ba gbeje me o. Ye baba se won mere ba gbeje me.
So
Interesting.
It was hard to stop dancing.
I
it was very
know.
hard, trust me. You know, Mr. President, I'm going to come back to you and ask you how this association is different from other associations of its kind. But before then, I'd like to hear from Mr. Ozolo first, and then Mr. Imuzeze. What's the meaning of that song?
My prof, God bless you. Thank you, my members of this association. The musician actually mentioned so many things. One of them, I will be mentioning some of these words, like Oloitare. Oloitare in English means destiny. Uhiwan. Uhiwan also, could be coined as destiny because at the beginning of your life, when you were born into this life, early morning, nobody knows what you're going to become. Okay, let us take our lives, for example. When we were in Noah, nobody knew we would ever meet in America. Okay? And there are some noticeable personalities in Noah. When they were growing up, probably people thought they could not do nothing. They were nothing to people. They were not be recognized. But by the grace of God, by the time they keep on struggling, they went to college, they went to high school, went to college, they were able to read, be able to become a good person, and they got a good job. Then they start, performing. In their old youth, when they were growing up, nobody knew they would do that. Then he said, Amelo Vohira Mary, whatever I'm going to become, no devil can stop you from becoming that. Amen literally is water, but here is a proverbial language that the water I will fetch will not pass me. It's not actually talking about going to a river. It's not actually going to the community pipe water. It's talking of whatever I will become in life. If I'm going to become a king, if I'm going to become a queen, if I'm going to become a councillor, a chairman of local government area, or the IG of police, nobody will stop it. Nobody will stop it, no matter what they do. So it also, we all believe in Owan that God has a way of promoting the less privileged one in the community. And that is it. Thank you very much. I will stop there and give chance to other people to continue.
Yeah, Mr. Imuzeze.
Thank you, sir. I think, thank you very much again. I think the songs is so clear that every one of us could understand. If you speak Ura very well, that every one of us could understand what he's talking about. It's very clear. Number one, do not judge a book by the cover. Number two, whatever God have destined for you, no one can take it away from you. Number three, it's not the beginning that we have to count. It's how you end. So for me to just call this short without wasting too much of our time, I would relate it to Owan Association, that everything we try to achieve, there is no man, no woman that will stop us achieving it by the grace of God. Because we have great things that we want to do for our people back home that is about to happen. There is no man out there. There is no devil out there. By God being with us, nobody can stop us. And again, to cut this thing short, we should not judge the book by the cover. Thank you.
Right, and I think I tried to challenge, or Ms. Atani tried to challenge me on my understanding of the depth of my understanding of the dialect. But now I get to challenge her. So do you have anything to add to that, the meaning of the song? Let's see how well you understand the dialect.
What they all said, I think I believe them. I understand what you were saying, just like Ozolo and Mike said. I think it's really about encouragement, about don't allow anything to deviate you from your plans in life, just like we are trying to do in our local government. If you have a plan, try to be focused on it. Don't look left or right. Try to focus on your plan and know what you aim to be in future. And during the process of doing it, be humble, know your background, and God, by God's grace, we succeed. All the music was.
You will agree with me that what you have just heard was an exciting conversation about traditions, culture, and one's commitment to one's homeland. There were many things that I wanted to learn from them, which I also thought that you, my audience, will be interested in hearing. That is the reason why there is a part 2 and part 3, because our conversation extended much longer than the half hour to an hour that we had all expected we will get together. Before you watch part 2, I urge you to visit my podcast just by going to Google or any web platform. Type in Ruminations with Ohiro Oni-Eseleh. In addition to that, I urge you to visit my blog site, ruminationsblog.org. That's www.ruminationsblog.org. I wanted to find out from my guests why this organization was founded, what they have accomplished, what their mission is, what they still hope to accomplish. And in the process of doing that, I also wanted to learn to hear from them, their perceptions of community engagement. Much of that is covered in this and the next part. Please watch.